Hey guys, Morgan from Rebellious Reading. We talk about all things books. And today, we're going to be doing part 2 in the Reviewing My Aunt's IRA books series. So, today we are reviewing Killing Rage by Eamon Collins. Yeah, this is a long time in coming. I read this book in January, and I'm just now getting the review out in July. Man, I don't know if Auntie Heather is gonna be relieved or kill me. But anyway, let's get started. So, those of you who saw my last video in this series know that I read One Day in My Life by Bobby Sands and absolutely loved it. It gave me an interesting perspective of a guy being tortured by British soldiers and some of the tensions that led up to the IRA becoming so popular in the first place. However, this book is a different perspective. It's from a guy who was fighting on the front lines of the IRA, assassinating political opponents and stuff, and then he decided to quit. So, yeah. Different perspective, but still interesting. Now, keep in mind that I am American, and therefore I have no dog in this fight. But, if I had to pick which side I lean towards, I'd say I lean towards agreeing with the IRA's cause without actually agreeing with their tactics. So, in other words, reading from the perspective of a guy who left the IRA specifically because he disagreed with their tactics was interesting to me. Let me start from the beginning. This book basically details Eamon Collins' radicalization, him joining the IRA, details of some of the assassinations he planned with them, and his eventual de-radicalization. It's an interesting story, and it's surprisingly action-packed for a non-fiction. However, for as action-packed as the actual plot, I guess, was, the writing was a little too slow-paced. It reads like a non-fiction gothic novel, minus the atmospheric elements that give actual gothic novels their charm. However, I will say I enjoyed the way Eamon Collins humanizes everyone he comes into contact with, whether they be an IRA member or a British judge. He treats them all as human beings with their own distinct hopes and fears. Which makes sense considering he spent years dehumanizing his political opponents. I guess this is his way of atoning for what he did, and in that sense it's very effective. As a redemption story, it works beautifully. Another thing I really enjoyed about this book is, I know my aunt is gonna disagree with me here, the political stuff. Yeah, my aunt's not that into politics, but I am, and I love that Eamon Collins mentions going through both a Marxist and an anarchist phase, and while I never went through either of those phases myself, I was in Young Democratic Socialists of America when I was in college, and yeah, I met a lot of people like that, and they were interesting to talk to, so yeah. That made this really interesting for me. Really, my only complaint about this book is that the pace was too slow. Other than that, it was fantastic. And even the slow pace wasn't bad enough to keep me from enjoying it. And it did contribute nicely to the dark atmosphere. I just wish it had been a little bit faster for a story that's this action-packed. So, yeah, I think that's a personal preference. Overall, I give this book an 8 out of 10. It's not quite as good as One Day in My Life by Bobby Sands, but it's still really good. By the way, I'm glad I read One Day in My Life before I read this one, because there are a lot of references in here that I wouldn't have understood had I read this one first. So, also, Eamon Collins, the author of this book, he was assassinated while walking his dog shortly after this book was released. So, yeah. May he rest in peace. May Bobby Sands rest in peace. And may both of their names serve as a reminder that war is hell. And that's my review. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. I'm Morgan from Rebellious Reading, and I'm out.